Hi everyone, welcome back to the Love and Toast Homestead. So this is the third video of our garden series. So today is all about garden planning for this year. So this is my example of my garden from last year. It's hard to see, but this is like the basic layout of my garden. And we have 2-foot by 8-foot beds, and that is what we've been using. Back here we have 2 by 4-foot beds, and then we have all this is a sloped area that we do planting. And then we actually did a huge garden expansion over here that we had a lot of issues last year because we put too much mulch and it made it too acidic for everything to grow. And then we also had a drought issue. So I'm just going to go over some of the things we grew last year. So we did zinnias for our wedding. I wanted to grow all our flowers. We did lettuce, we did kale, we did onions, we did tomatoes, peppers, garlic, we did broccoli, we did squash, we did carrots, we did corn, a lot of green beans. And then this was our expanded garden area, which might be hard to see. And we did corn, like I was saying before, around an L shape around the perimeter. And we had watermelon, and we did loofahs this year. That was a fun new thing to do. So for this next coming year, pumpkin too. For this next year, we are going to do a different layout for the expanded garden, and we're expanding it more. And we're going to put raised garden beds in because I feel like we tried the typical garden where you have it flat. We just made rows, and we had a lot of issues with rain. We got heavy rain and moved all the mulch out into the gravel area, and it was just a mess. So I feel better about just having raised garden beds. It's a lot neater. It's easier to pull the hose around everything and navigate. So that's just my preference. So this is my idea for the new garden area. And these are 12 by 4-foot beds. So we're going to need a lot of them. I'm not going to buy them all at once because that's too expensive. But I'm going to buy a couple at a time and make sure I like the spacing of them before I get any more. So basically, in this garden area, in this bed right here, the first year we had tomatoes in that bed. Tomatoes are a heavy feeder. So that means the next year we cannot put tomatoes in the bed unless you want to like heavily fertilize it to have enough nutrients for the soil for the plant to grow efficiently. So this year we planted, or 2023, we planted carrots in the bed because that is a root vegetable, and in the crop rotation, that is going to benefit the soil by putting the root vegetable in, like a carrot. Then after the carrots were pulled in August, we put green beans in there, which is next crop rotation, and that is going to give nutrients to the soil as well because they're light feeders. And then this spring, I'm going to put spinach there, something quick, cold crop. And then when that gets taken out, it can have tomatoes in it this year, basically. So that's like a basic crop rotation. Depending on your zone, will depend on how much you can get into there. For a tomato, for instance, you can just have tomatoes in that year. You're not going to have enough time to put something else in there. Instead, it's like spinach or something, but nothing else can really go in there. So that's the basic on crop rotation. So this year, I will have spinach in that bed with tomatoes. This bed was onions last year, so it is going to be spinach and cantaloupe and melons because those are also heavy feeders. This bed up here was carrots last year and green beans after, so it's going to have spinach and then peppers. And then back here, this is going to be all carrots and probably green beans after because this was a tomato bed the following year. In this bed over here, we have spinach and then butternut squash because that was a green bean bed. It was garlic, pulled the garlic, then put green beans in, and then now it can be spinach and butternut. Over here, we're going to do the same thing. It's going to be spinach and tomatoes. I decided with the sloped area, I needed something that's going to have more permanent roots to really give it a better structure in the soil so we don't have as much erosion going on. So I've dedicated pretty much this whole perimeter to more root vegetables or perennials. So right here, I already have all my herbs like lavender, mint, sage, stuff like that. That's going to come back every year. I'm going to get more. I did a lot of herbs by seed last year, and it went really well. Vinny accidentally ripped some of them out that were perennials, so I had to start from seed again. Not a big deal. They were really easy to start, but right here we have our little Costco greenhouse that it's going to stay there, but behind there it's hard to get anything back there. So we're going to make it a strawberry patch. And currently we have our blueberry plants up here on the very top of the slope that's right against the chicken coop. And then all back here will be garlic on the big slope. And then over here is going to be all root vegetables, onions and beets. And I'm just filling the whole thing up as much as I can because last year this was all pretty much wedding flowers. So I lost a lot of garden space because of that. So I want to make the garden as efficient as possible. I think we did about, let me think, 100 potatoes in this area last year. I want to do about 200 or more potatoes and maybe 300 onions, depending on how much I can get in. I'm starting from seed, so there's a lot better chance. And then on the back, I decided I wanted to do 100 tomato plants of like the different varieties to make sure I had enough. So we're going to have multiple 24 by 4 foot long rows, 4 rows of just tomatoes. We eat a lot of tomato sauce, salsa. I make homemade barbecue sauce, homemade ketchup. So we just need it and we'll use it. So I rather have more than enough, an abundance of it than not enough. We're also going to do the same amount in green beans, 4 24-foot beds of green beans. And the same thing with carrots because we eat a lot of in-season stuff during the year. So once garden season over, we're just eating from our pantry from October all the way until May, until garden season begins again. And then we'll start eating things like zucchini, different things like that out of the garden, like lettuce. So we really try to eat in season. So I want to make sure we have enough planted in the garden to last us. We also have 3 beds of peppers. So that's another one. Just 3 12 by 4 beds. We eat peppers, but you don't always need a lot of them in your recipes. And then we're going to have 1 bed of zucchini. I want to do 6 of them. 12 squash, and then 12 butternut squash. The other squash, it would be the yellow crooked neck squash. They did so well. I bought the Farmer's Almanac yellow crooked neck squash, and I was like blown away by how amazing the plant did. And then I want to do 6 melons and then 6 cantaloupe. And then I decided, I'm still not sure how I want to do this, but I think I want to do a huge area for the corn, a huge area for the potatoes, and then the pumpkins. And that's about 40 feet long and 10 feet wide. And then we're going to do another area over here. So I think we're going to have enough for the whole garden area because we have this side and then we have this side. So those are my garden plans for the year. I'm going to show you a cycle chart to make so you can see for the different varieties. Okay, so here is the chart I was telling you about. So as you can see here where tomatoes fall under, this is the heavy feeders. They need a lot of phosphorus, like it says here, and nitrogen. So that goes for the squash, melons, eggplant, cucumber, and potatoes. And honestly, corn goes into this, and potatoes do too. They are all really heavy feeders. So once you plant those, the following year, you will plant a root vegetable. And you basically go through this cycle rotation each season, or if you can squeeze more than one into a season, you can do that. So basically the next year you would plant a root vegetable in April, March. You could do the carrots, radish, onions, parsnip, turnip, and beets. So these are light feeders, like it says, and they like more potassium and phosphorus than they do nitrogen. So after you pull these in after you pull these in August, September-ish, you will have enough time to plant some green beans or other things before your last frost date. So, like, you can plant some green beans, soybeans, different type of beans, chickpeas, peas. There's a lot of options that you could do. You could fit these into the same season. Since I'm zone 6, I have a shorter season, but if you are a zone where you don't get frost until December, you could maybe do three of these in one season. And that would be amazing. So after you plant your green beans, then the following year you will do lettuce and greens basically. So you got spinach, you got cabbage, Brussels, kale, broccoli, cauliflower, and different herbs like that. And by doing this proper crop rotation where some are taking from the soil, some are adding to the soil, this is really going to improve the health and quality of your plants. And you won't need fertilizer and different things like that. Yes, compost always helps from the animals, but this will give you such a better outcome than the same vegetable in the same spot, taking all the nutrients to the point where you have to get fertilizer, and it's not always the best thing. So I hope this garden planning and crop rotation video helps you, and let me know your thoughts on what you do each year and how you plan your garden. Thanks for joining the 11 Toes Homestead. See ya!